Hey guys, this is Rob with Next Gen Writer here. Today I want to do a video that's going to be kind of an update on blind spot detection and rear collision avoidance sensing systems in motorcycles, and more specifically in the motorcycle riding gadget space. So for those of you that don't know, blind spot detection is basically some sort of sensor that looks at the traffic, the environment behind you, and generates alerts to let you know you have some sort of vehicle or hazard in the blind spots of your motorcycle or behind your motorcycle. So we've had some sensing technology available in the market for some time. Aoocci, who's been an innovator in the motorcycle riding gadget space, they deployed this first on their AIO5 unit, and they used vision technology. So basically, it was a cam system. So they had a camera on the back of the bike. So they just used what they already had, and they added some software that would analyze that video image and use that to evaluate and generate alerts. A lot of cars have done this as well. A lot of people use camera technology, but it comes with some disadvantages. If you have weather, low light, no light conditions, it makes it harder for that sensing technology to work, and you lose reliability. Alien Rider came along, also Aoocci about the same time, and they took what was being developed in the car driving aid space and adapted it for motorcycles. And what that's called is LiDAR. Sometimes you'll see it referred to as radar. Radar is radio directional and ranging, is what that stands for. But to be technically accurate for the technologies that we're using now for LiDAR, it's light. It's ultraviolet light. You can't see it, but it's light nonetheless. Hence LiDAR, or light direction and ranging technology. So Alien Rider M2 Pro came out with a integrated system that uses a LiDAR sensor. I have one here somewhere. I'll show you. It's a small sensor that integrates into the display, and this generates the data that they use to provide the alerts. Aoocci has standalone systems, so it's not integrated into any writing system. They also have one that is integrated with a dash cam system, and it also uses 77 gigahertz LiDAR technology. And these systems work really good. I got a buddy of mine in Hungary, Nadim. He loves the Aoocci system. He thinks it's better than the M2 Pro. I haven't evaluated it, but I know the M2 Pro LiDAR technology works very, very good. It's able to be tuned a little bit. It evaluates velocity. It adjusts the monitoring range, has a full range of 55 meters, and then it'll adjust that based on the number of targets it sees. So if you're in a dense traffic environment, it doesn't need to look out 55 meters, especially if you're in a dense traffic environment and you're going 30 kilometers, why look out 55 meters? So it'll enhance its signaling and analyze more targets within a shorter range. So it's a pretty smart system. I can't speak much to how Aoocci works, but he likes it a lot as well. So that's been kind of the options for a couple of years now. So here recently, some changes have been happening. So I'm doing videos on the Aoocci AIO6. That's the new smart display system that Aoocci is in the process of launching now. I got mine. I'm doing videos on it. It delivers with vision-based blind spot detection and rear collision avoidance. And but they are developing LiDAR technology, and they're going to be offering a LiDAR product. Now, I haven't seen what sensor that they're going to be using, what wavelength, but my money would say they're going to go 77 gigahertz. I'm going to talk more about that. But they have said that it's going to be a wireless system. So I'm hoping that's going to be backwards compatible with the AIO6, but we'll just have to wait and see. Another thing that's happening is we're seeing budget, or how do I describe them nicely? Very low cost systems, lower quality systems that are delivering out of China that are now incorporating the vision-based systems. So they're dash cam systems, they have the cameras on there. Typically they're a low quality camera, maybe a Galaxy Core if you're lucky. Nevertheless, they're taking that image, that video signal, and putting some basic processing on it to throw up alerts. Now, how accurate can that be? How effective can it be? I don't know. One thing you need to understand is the sensor is only half the battle. Whether you choose a video sensor, video signal based off of a quality like a Sony IMX307 camera that the Chigi uses, or a LiDAR system, you still have to develop the software to analyze that data to give you robust signaling, right? So, it sees the data and you're going to determine, what are the priority hazards, where are the cars that are proximal to you, which targets are moving quicker, which targets are you overtaking that you don't want to identify. So it's to do it properly, the software that's evaluating the data is just as integral as the performance of the sensor itself. So now, having said all this, I'm going to tell you there's a new system coming out from Aoocci, and they're calling it the BX. Now, it's not cheap. This is with blind spot detection. This unit's running $499, which is actually the same price, comparably priced to an Alien Rider M2 Pro or a Chigi AIO 5, which Chigi AIO 5 is camera-based system. Alien Rider M2 Pro at that price point would deliver with LiDAR, and I think they both work pretty well. You'd have to give the nod to Alien Rider for a LiDAR system if you're really, one of your focuses is blind spot detection and rear collision avoidance. But the thing with this BX is it's delivering with a 28 gigahertz LiDAR sensor. So it really bears exploring, understanding 28 gigahertz LiDAR sensing versus 77 gigahertz LiDAR sensing. They are fundamentally different, and it's going to impact the performance of these blind spot detection systems. So one thing you need to understand is these spectrums of frequency are regulated and controlled by, commissions within countries, and generally they're kind of universal, but not always. And one thing about the 28 gigahertz spectrum is that it is also used in cell phone technology. So what that means is with a 28 gigahertz sensor, you can't operate at power levels that are going to interfere with cell phone technology. So if you reduce power level, then you're going to reduce sensing range. That's just the way it works. There's also some realities of the physics of the light wave. That means 28 gigahertz is a different wavelength than a 77 gigahertz, and you're going to yield less data with a 28 gigahertz sensor. I'm going to try to keep this as simple and within the way I understand it, but you can take deep dives on this. Texas Instruments has very good papers out there. They're a leader in in manufacturing these sensors, and you can really get into weeds on this stuff, but I'm trying to kind of keep it somewhat simple, but give you the facts. So 77 gigahertz sensing has 20x the data and thus accuracy than a 28 gigahertz sensor. Now, when it comes to velocity determinations, and that's basically a sensor being able to probe a target and understand how fast that target is moving relative to the sensor speed, that's a factor of about 4x. Another thing that impacts that performance is the operational bandwidth of those frequency ranges. So 28 gigahertz driving aid sensing is, let me open it up here. it operates 24.05 to 24.25. So it has a very narrow 20 megahertz band that it has to operate in. And that limits how much data it can get for evaluating multiple targets and velocities. Now, 77 gigahertz, that's where regulation has determined driving aid LiDAR technology land, and it has a very wide bandwidth. Now, that bandwidth is kind of chopped up, so you have SSR, or short range ranging, or short ranging resolution, I think it is, and then you got medium range and then LRR, long range resolution or sensing. Anyway, so within, like, the Alien Rider sensor is a 55 meter sensor, so they designed it at the power level that it's operating at and the frequency, specific frequency that that sensor is operating at. They start evaluating data from the sensor up to 55 meters away, and then they will start driving alerts as far away as 40 meters. So that gives it a very, it drives a good reaction time, allows the sensor to accumulate a lot of data for understanding velocity, target, how many targets it can see, and the proximity of those targets to drive the alerts. Okay, within that same technology, you can look out to like 150 meters. That's possible, but it would probably require a more optimized sensor, maybe a higher quality sensor, and then maybe a lot more processing power of using the data from that sensor to make the alerts. So with Alien Rider, what they've done, if they've selected 55 meters, 77 gigahertz, and it works very, very well. But my point is, with a 28 gigahertz sensor, you're only going to be able to look out about 20 meters. So now targets are going to have to come into that 20 meter range. Data is going to have to be collected on it for some period of time to understand what the target is, what direction it's moving, how fast it's moving, and then to bin it out to decide whether it's something that's coming up in your blind spot, something that's coming up quickly behind you, something that's slow behind you. You have to evaluate the targets for some time before you can generate reliable alerts, or is it an object that you're overtaking that you don't want to identify at all? So that's kind of just my layman's discussion of the contrast between 28 gigahertz sensing and 77 gigahertz sensing. So if you're out there considering buying a system with blind spot detection, rear collision avoidance is very important to you. And, give some consideration to the type of technology it has, especially if it's a LiDAR, if it's a LiDAR technology and the sensor is a 28 gigahertz sensor. That is not going to be the preferred blind spot detection solution. Again, all the OEM manufacturers, Ducati's putting this on their bikes from the factory. They're using 77 gigahertz sensing. All driving aids on new autonomous vehicles and new electric vehicles, or any car that has this type of driving assistance aids on it, are using either 77 gigahertz technology or that combined with video imaging technology. Sometimes it's nice to get the best of both worlds. But 28 gigahertz is really relegated to obsolescence. So I'm a little surprised to see a manufacturer bringing a system out with that technology on it. So there you have it. I hope this video was helpful for you guys to give you a little bit better understanding. I'm looking forward to the new technology coming from Aoocci. And as I learn more about this, I'll keep you guys updated through the channel. Thanks for watching.